The third of 7 children born to Milton Wright and Susan Catherine Corner Wright, Wilbur was born near Millville, Indiana. The family remained in Indiana until 1869, when Milton Wright, a bishop in the United Brethren Church, returned to Dayton, Ohio. The Wrights would return to Indiana in 1881, where Wilbur and his younger brother Orville took up kite flying. Before getting started, I would encourage you to subscribe to the Mossy Feet Books YouTube channel for more great content. If you like my videos, please hit the like button. The more likes I get, the more YouTube will show it to other people, allowing me to grow the channel. I also entreat you to visit my website, www.mossyfeetbooks.com. There you will find sample chapters, podcasts, a slew of content, and links to where you can buy my books. While visiting the website, you can subscribe to it and receive email notifications of when I publish a new book or other content like this video and podcast. This episode is based on my book, East Central Indiana Day Trips. If you like what I'm doing, please purchase a book as it helps fund my work. Milton Wright, Wilbur's father, lived from November the 17th, 1828 until April the 3rd, 1917. Milton, the son of Dan and Catherine Reeder Wright, entered life on a farm in Rush County, Indiana. In 1840, the family moved to Fayette County, Indiana. At 15, he had a religious conversion. After investigating several churches, Milton joined the United Brethren Church in 1847. His rise in the church was swift to deacon in 1849. After purchasing a farm in Grant County, Indiana, he rented it out after his appointment as supervisor of the preparatory department at Hartsville College in Bartholomew County. He met his future wife, Susan Corner, while in this position in 1853. Thus began a 6-year-long courtship that ended in their marriage in 1859. During this long stretch, he had become ill and returned to Grant County Farm. He taught school for 2 years in Decatur County while he studied for the ministry. After graduating, the church appointed him to be a circuit preacher, traveling from church to church. His circuit included Hartsville, where he had kept company with Susan. The church then appointed him missionary to go to Oregon, and he asked her to marry him. She said yes, and when he returned to Indiana. He did return in 1859, and the two married on Thanksgiving Day. The couple had their first 3 children, Ruchlin, Laurent, and Wilbur, in Indiana. Wilbur Wright lived from April the 16th, 1867, until May the 30th, 1912. His father, Milton, and mother, Susan, moved a lot while Wilbur was a child due to Milton's job. When Wilbur was 2, the family moved from Indiana to Dayton, Ohio. Here in 1871, Orvill Wright was born. It was during their stay at Dayton that Milton brought home a toy helicopter in 1878 that enthralled the 2 boys. The toy helicopter spurred the boys' interest in their quest to fly. In 1881, the family moved to Richmond, Indiana, where Wilbur attended high school. During this time, the boys had tried to build flying helicopters from the model their father had given them. These did not fly well, so the brothers began building kites. Wilbur had accrued enough credits to graduate, but their sudden move back to Dayton prevented him from receiving his diploma. He planned on going to college at Yale, but his mother became sick with tuberculosis, and he stayed home to care for her. Orville and Wilbur Wright became successful businessmen, printers by trade, in Dayton, Ohio, where they published their West Side News, which was edited by Wilbur. They followed this success by opening a bicycle shop in 1892. In this shop, they began selling bicycles made by tools which they had invented. The bicycle shop provided them a place to design and build gliders, which they began testing at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina in 1900. The location was a place called Kill Devil Hill, the first test flight coming in September of that year. Kitty Hawk was chosen because of the winds off the ocean. They studied Otto Lilienthal's designs and decided to base their initial design on his. Using a biplane box kite they designed in 1899, they tested their theories on aircraft control. The kite framework of this kite was hinged, allowing it to twist. It was controlled from the ground using 4 lines, one tied to each corner of the frame. They learned to control this kite using the system and could make it bank, dive, and climb. The following year, they constructed a glider using the kite as a guide. This glider had enough lifting capacity to lift a man, but they decided to fly it like a kite at first, using the same ground control system they had devised for the kite. The brothers learned of Octave Chanut's glider experiments on the shore of Lake Michigan near Miller Beach, Indiana. The Wrights revised their design on Chanut's biplane glider he tested there, as well as finding a wind tunnel they had constructed of their own design. Their experiments with this craft led to the design, construction, and eventual success of the flight of the Wright Flyer at Kitty Hawk in 1903. They continued constructing gliders for the next 2 years, the final test coming in 1902. The design of the glider flown that year was a direct ancestor of the Wright Flyer airplane to be successfully flown the next year. By 1903, Flyer 1 was ready, and so were the Wright brothers. The Wright Flyer was of a design called a canard. The pilot flew the airplane lying on his belly on the bottom wing, his head facing forward. The plane was steered by a cradle attached to the pilot's hips. The cradle was attached to the cables which warped the wings, steering the plane. On the first flights on December the 17th, 1903, no steering was attempted. The Wright Flyer only flew in straight lines that day. The Flyer weighed 750 pounds and used a 12-horsepower engine built specifically for the airplane by Charlie Taylor, an employee. Mr. Taylor built the engine in 6 weeks from scratch, working without a drawing. The Wright Flyer's first airplane flight was made by Orville. They tossed a coin won by Wilbur 3 days earlier, had resulted in a crash and took 3 days to repair. So on December the 17th, the Wright Flyer stood on its 2x4 track, nicknamed the Junction Railroad by the Wrights, and after Orville spun the propeller and started the motor, Wilbur took off for the very first powered aircraft flight, which lasted 12 seconds and went 120 feet. The propeller, by the way, was also a Wright brother design. There were 3 more flights that day, one of which had two very bumping landings while the airplane bounced off the ground and finally settled down. The last flight the Wright Flyers flew, the front elevator supports were damaged. The Wrights crated the Flyer up after the 2 flights that year and placed it in storage. It was damaged in a flood and repaired by Orville in 1916 and placed on display. The airplane is still on public display, having been restored to repair damage caused by the years of exposure. For more information on the Wright brothers, visit the Wilbur Wright Birthplace and Museum at 1525 North 750 East, Hagerstown, Indiana, 47346. You can phone 765-332-2495, and the website is www.wwbirthplace.com. This episode is based on my book, East Central Indiana Day Trips, available on the website www.mossyfeetbooks.com. The book is the first book in the 9-volume. This is the 4th book in the 9-volume Road Trip Indiana series. The books include all the historical markers as of 2022 in Indiana with the text and backstory. The books also include a nearly complete listing of virtually every tourism destination in the state. The destinations include parks, museums, drive-in theaters, bowling alleys, wineries, and much, much more. I encourage you to visit the website and subscribe to it. You find my books locally at the Romweber Marketplace in downtown Batesville, Indiana. I hope you enjoyed this podcast, and thank you for